I have a very special affection for Brazil. Brazil has been very important to me, both professionally and emotionally, for the last 30 years. I've been back and forth between here and various cities in Brazil. Each time I go, I try to bring back with me something that'll help me remember my last visit. On one of my trips, I found this statue in Rio. It caught me immediately, and I brought it back with me, and I call her Carmela. She actually is a water bucket, but there's a story with her that I made up. One day I will write the story, and I believe Carmela was a little girl in a village near the Amazon, and one day this very successful salesman came by from Sao Paulo, very slick fellow, and he offered to marry her because her father had money, and so he married her. And this was the day she dressed up in her best wedding gown, and he brought her back to Sao Paulo, and of course he left her. She lives in a favela there now, which I will find someday. Anyway, this is Carmela for me. A very affectionate thing for me. I find it wonderful. This is a etching by Rembrandt that was given to me by the father of a young lady who was working in my studio while I was running Eisner. This was about 1937, 36, 37, 38, somewhere in there. For a while it appeared that she and I were going to be married, and I guess her father thought that we would be married, and he gave this to me as a kind of a gift. Well, ultimately she married someone else, so I lost the girl, but I kept the etching. So I came out of it a little ahead, I think. This is a portrait of my father, which I painted while I was a student at the Art Students League. I was working under Robert Brackman at the time. My father was a tremendous influence on me. He encouraged me throughout my career from the very first. My father came to this country from Austria in 1916, 1915, just before World War I. He had been in Vienna. He was a painter of scenery, interior of churches. He was doing this with cherubim and clouds and so forth. When he came to this country, his first job was to work for the Yiddish Art Theater on 2nd Avenue, where he painted scenery. In those days, the scenery consisted of a simple backdrop with trompe-l'oeil paintings and so forth. The influence on me was very subtle. I hadn't realized until later on that when he used to bring me down to the theater while he was working on his long, high ladder, and I sat there watching him paint. I still remember the smell of paint, and he smoked Murad cigarettes. But the feeling for theater remained with me for the rest of my life. And I believe that is the strongest influence in my storytelling ability, because I think of stories now. I lay out my design, I compose my scenes as though I am a director of live theater. My actors are on a stage. Each of the panels for me is a stage. I don't think of movies, I think of live theater. And I attribute that to the influence of my father. This is a portrait of a model that I painted while I was at the Art Students League. And there's a very funny story about that. Hanging here in our room, guests always come and ask me whether that is a portrait of my mother, largely because it's next to the portrait of my father. But actually, she was a model that the school hired from time to time. A very funny story about that. I was 16 years old when I was at the Art Students League. My mother objected strenuously to my going. She couldn't understand why the school would allow a young 16-year-old boy to paint naked women. And she always bothered my father about it. He tried to explain to her that was all right. Anyway, she took the portrait after I had brought it home and covered it with an apron and put it away in the closet. I never saw it again until about 2 years after I was married. We were fixing up a new house, for myself and my wife, and my mother came up with this thing all wrapped up and gave it to my wife and said, look, now that you are married, now that he's a married man, it'll be all right for you to hang this picture in the room. So it was always, it's very representative of the relationship I had at home. My father was very encouraging. My mother was in grave doubt about what I was doing. She felt it was a total waste. And since my father never really was able to earn much money as a painter, she thought that I was going the same route and that I would be spending my life being very poor. So she said, I don't want you to be a painter. You should be in some business or something like that. That's a terrible career. Anyway, this is the story of the naked lady.